When you first start praying the Liturgy of the Hours, it can be very overwhelming. The number of pages to flip through and what to do, where to place your ribbons. And this just wasn't working for me. I'm very ADD. And so I came up with my own system that really helps me process the pages, where I should put my ribbons, and I can enjoy the process of praying versus figuring out what to do. So take, for example, St. John of the Cross. Lots of different page numbers on this day. So what I did was I took my handy St. Joseph's Guide. I created a little note card with each of the hours of the day. And then I crafted my own color coding system for the ribbons. And this is the result. And as you can see, I've also got all sorts of tabs, which I'll talk about later. So basically here's night prayer. Now the book tells me for today, night prayer is page 1175, and I've got that here. But then there's also the hymn section. So with my color coding system, I've got night prayer, that color, and there's where the hymns are. And then, of course, on page 1175, I've got my ribbon. So let's take another example. For evening prayer, we know one of the pages is 1466, and we know the evening prayer color is pink. And I use pink because we pray that specific prayer to our Blessed Mother, so pink for girls. And that wasn't my idea. That's what my teacher, Charmaine, taught me when she uses tabs on her book to mark that prayer. And so, of course, blue is for the Canticle of Zechariah, right? Blue for boy. Well, here we go. 1466, and I've got it pink. So every night when I sit down, I go through my St. Joseph's Guide. I write down my page numbers by the hour, and then I find the page numbers and I mark them with my ribbon. That way I'm not flipping around. And I notice, I know that there's 3 different pages that I have to mark. So I've got 3 pink ribbons. Now, some of them are consistencies. Obviously, for daytime prayer, you're going to have pretty much, the same section. You're going to have your complimentary psalmody, and then you're going to have 3 different ribbons. You're going to have your complimentary psalmody, the psalmodies for that day, and then you're going to have the hymns for the daytime prayer. So at some point you're going to have to figure out, and of course for the office of readings, you may have, those psalms for the day, but it may be a special day, as in the case with St. John of the Cross. It's a memorial for a doctor of the church, so obviously you're going to need more of these cream color ribbons. So for my evening prayer, I've got my pink on page 1466. Now let's take a look at the psalm on page 953. So there's my evening prayer, and there's my pink ribbon, and there is page 953. And it just all kind of, it's so seamless once I don't know, it was just too much for me to look at all these page numbers and flip through, and I got all confused. So I just look at this list, I break it down by hour, because my mind, it just tends to process things in chunks. And then I've got my ribbon colors, and then I just set it up. And then it's just like bam, bam, bam. And I can look at the different hour and then go to the ribbon, and I'm not flipping around. And it makes it so much fun. And then at the end of the year, of course, you'll have just like this collection of cards, to see what all you accomplished in your prayer life during that year. Plus, I think this looks cool. I mean, you can have fun creating your own color coding system or picking out ribbons. And I just really, now I of course have labeled my different sections. So I've got like my daytime prayer, complimentary psalmody. The red is things that you're going to flip through it a lot. The nighttime prayer, different aspects for that. And then I've got my psalters tabbed as well. So for example, here's where the 4th week of the Psalter begins. Then I've got the 3rd week to the Psalter. Here's the 2nd week. And there's the 1st week. Now we're in Advent right now, so I've got like the proper season of Christmas, and I've got the proper season of Advent there. But I just love it, and I've got it color-coded for my own sake. And then eventually what I'm going to do, well, I'll show you my other book, what I did with the Commons. But to me, creating these tabs made me familiar with the book. It made my brain understand how the book is set up, and it wasn't so overwhelming, and it kind of personalizes your book, quite frankly. I just created, well, let me show you how I set this up. I've got my ordinary, and I've even got my invitatory. Okay, now with the Office of Readings today, and what I did was I took it a step further, and I flagged it off to the corner there with another color. So in my mind, that meant you're going to go to this tab almost every day, Lisa, or quite consistently. And so I did that with multiple prayers, like the Canticle of Zechariah, the Magnificat, different prayers that we oftentimes pray a lot. I kind of not only had a tab, but then I have kind of like an offshoot tab. And I did that also with this one. What I did here was I kind of marked the weekday prayers for the nighttime. So it's the same kind of offshoot tab, but it's more for the evening hours. See, so here's another example, the Canticle of Zechariah, and then I've got this little offshoot tab. Here's another one, the Magnificat, and then the same kind of color-coded offshoot tab. Here's another example, the Daytime Prayer Complementary Psalmody. I know I'm going to be flipping through this a lot, so I made another one of these offshoot tabs. But I just love my color coding system. It's easy. My brain loves colors. And when I was a student, I would color coordinate everything. I still do that as a professor when I'm sorting or writing or doing something creative. And I just had fun picking out the ribbons. I had fun picking out my different colors. And it just makes it a lot more organized and quite frankly fun setting up my little index card from the St. Joseph Guide. And then I'm not so flustered, because anybody who's ever tackled learning the Liturgy of the Hours, it can get very overwhelming and quite frankly frustrating. And what I was telling my friend is I'm spending more time trying to find the page number than I am actually praying the hours. And so I've struggled with a variety of different techniques, and I'll show you what I've done in the past so you can see the trajectory of my learning curve. But I really hope this system helps somebody else. So if you're kind of like an ADD type like me, or you like color-coded systems and these ribbons aren't working for you, try out this system for praying the Liturgy of the Hours and let me know if it works for you. Here's another example. The morning prayers during Advent. I've just got this almost as like a permanent ribbon, because my color coding system is the morning prayer is that little light blue, that pretty kind of aqua blue. And so I've got that as a permanent marker. Here's another example of an offshoot flag. I know that my Office of Readings is kind of like this cream color or off-white color ribbon. So I've flagged the hymns of the Advent season Office of Readings, because I know I'm going to go to that a lot. So I've got that offshoot ribbon. I've even got my tab. I'm using my color-coded system, and there is my ribbon. Morning prayer. Once again, now, the ribbons are right next to each other, but in my brain, I know that color is for morning prayer, and there are my hymns for morning prayer. Evening prayer hymns are marked with this beautiful pink, because I know on my color-coded card, evening prayer is pink. So some of these ribbons are going to be permanent ribbons, but it's just so much easier, and you can associate all of those colors together. So the specific prayers for evening prayer, and there's my evening prayer right there. So I need to flip to that part of the book. So we've got page 269, our Office of Readings. There's our ribbon. And then, of course, we know it's going to be page 269 because we've created this little index card and we can flip through. And I even kind of took it where I'm like, okay, memorial, and then I put the page. So that way my brain understands, okay, there's the Office of Reading, there are the readings, there's the psalm, there's the prayer. Same thing with each one, because when you're a newbie, you don't understand what the prayer is, what the psalm is, you're learning everything. And so that way it just translates better for me, because these are all kind of bunched together. But if I put what it is and then underneath that the number, it seems easy, and then I can kind of space it out. And then of course it's separated by hour as the day is going to progress. So if you're a visual learner and you like things in mono blocks, this system may be very helpful for you. In sum, I go to my St. Joseph Guide, I have my index card. I separate it as the progression of the hours goes through. I'll put at the top what it is, whether it's a reading or a psalm. For example, Office of Readings right there. Okay, we know that's a memorial for a doctor of the church. There's the prayer. Now, there's daytime prayer. There are the pages for that. There's even the antiphon, right? So I've got my progression. Then I've got my color-coded cards. And then I just simply set up my ribbons the night before or that morning. And it just makes it so much easier. And by the way, you're going to have the most unique book on the block when it comes to your liturgy, the Hours Prayer book. I just loved this system, and these cards are just so handy. Literally, I just printed it out. I taped them to these little, or I just stuck them to these little flags, and then I put a piece of tape over it so they wouldn't, come off and I wouldn't lose all my work. So it may take a little time, but in that process, your brain is processing the setup of your liturgical book. And I just love praying the Divine Office. I've never read the Psalms. Quite frankly, I've never read the Bible until recently. And I am absolutely fallen in love with the Psalms, the New Testament, the Old Testament. I love reading about the lives of the saints. And it's just a wonderful personal way to personalize your prayer life.